Welcome to another Growth Wisdom Pod. We have Edward White, aka EJ. He's leading the Beehive meteoric growth that we've seen this year. He's also spreading the good vibes, and the guy is quite interesting. He's doing Ironmans and stuff, about to be a full Ironman. And yeah, when you train for an Ironman, you know you're an Ironman. It's really slim, the percentage of people that do not make it there. So instantly, me and Ed kind of vibed on that. We're going to talk about Beehive, which has been on my radar this year. The company has grown incredibly, and we're going to talk about Beehive. We're going to talk about Ed's background and everything between. This pod is brought to you by my podcasting agency. It's called podfire.com. If you want to start, scale, be invited to a podcast. Ed, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about Beehive and yourself.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for having me. I'll start with myself and then I'll get into Beehive. I think it's a little bit more interesting. But yeah, my name's EJ. I reside in Baltimore, Maryland. I've been startup or startup adjacent my whole career, working both in startups and marketing agencies, really just learning everything there is to know about growth and how to build businesses profitably and efficiently. And that's how I found myself at Beehive. I met our CEO during undergrad at University of Maryland, where I did my undergrad. I was in an entrepreneurship program there. I lived next door to him for 2 years and got to know him a little bit. We went separate ways, and then about 2 years ago, he was looking for somebody to lead growth for the company, and it worked out. So Beehive is the fastest growing email marketing platform on the market in the world. We launched in November of 2021, and so we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary. I joined 3 months after the product was publicly released as the first employee after the 4 co-founders. So been there since pretty much the very beginning. Have seen the company grow from a scrappy upstart competitor to now I wouldn't say that we're an entrenched incumbent, but we certainly are able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the big guys. MailChimp, ConvertKit, Substack, MailerLite, Campaign Monitor, ActiveCampaign. It's a very crowded space, and we're crushing the competition each day. We are by far the most innovative company in this space. We release new features every week. Not just small little ticky-tacky features like okay, you can change the color of your background of your desktop, your dashboard or something like that, but actually value adding features that make your business, if you're running a newsletter business, more effective, make more money, reach more people. And if you're just doing it for fun, we make the newsletter experience incredibly easy and stress-free to get going with. So I'm incredibly happy to be where I am with this team. We have also the most talented team in the industry, and there's nothing that is going to stop us from dominating.
So the best folks in business usually that I've interviewed on this podcast are Ironmans. Let's start with that. What value do you see in preparing for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I personally don't believe you can be an effective agent of growth or change within the world of startups without having a very strong sense of wanting to develop yourself and to grow, whether that's personally, professionally, spiritually, emotionally. I think that for people who make the best growth oriented people, I hope that I'm included in those people, but my philosophy is you have to really live and breathe that ethos. And so for me, training for an Ironman and hopefully completing the Ironman is a process of challenging myself to do the hard things that that are hard, that are just to prove that I'm moving forward. I think complacency is the first step of death. And so for me, it's just a challenge for myself just to prove that I can do it. 1, 2, it has obviously the benefits of keeping me healthy and keeping me kind of in shape, and all of the things that keep me kind of performing at my best. If I don't feel good, if my head's not clear, if I'm sick, whatnot, then I can't do my job, effectively. I can't be there for my family, for my loved ones effectively. I can't deepen my spiritual practice as effectively if I'm not kind of starting with a foundation of health and wellness.
Right. Then you seem to be an incredibly good pick for Beehive. I'm curious because both you and the CEO have studied entrepreneurship. How do you consider yourself in a business? Are you more of an integrator and a get shit doneer rather than, a 0 to 1 founder?
Yeah, I'd say to this point in my career, I've probably been in that first camp. I have been, except for the hot dog stand I started at the end of my street when I was 8. I have yet to be kind of a solo founder or a kind of a co-founder of my own company. But I've been employee 1 at I think 3 different startups. I was employee number 3 at one startup at a time, and so reflecting on my career, I found that I tend to gravitate towards those people with ideas, and I'm good, I think, at assessing good ideas or ideas that have the potential to be good businesses. And then at that point, I am one of those people who just rolls up their sleeves and finds out what needs to be done, and I get that shit done. So in that way, I think I've made a very effective kind of early stage, employee at these companies. At the end of the day, the difference between a co-founder and the early stage employees is largely one I have found of kind of just position on the cap table, in that you're all rolling up your sleeves, you're all putting in the long hours, you're all staying up all hours of the day, making sure that the company runs. People might disagree with that. Maybe I'm in the wrong there, but I've never kind of been one to say, I'm just going to check out at 6 o'clock because, I'm not technically a co-founder. So I think that kind of execution mindset and being able to take the initiative has served me really, really well. One of the things that I've learned from Beehive, being the first kind of big kind of success that I've been part of early stage, you learn a lot from the failures, certainly, but what's been really, really interesting is to be able to contrast the companies that didn't work out and kind of those heuristics and those patterns that you see, of not working out for one reason or another, and being able to kind of contrast that with what we're seeing with Beehive. And I found that, even though failure does teach a lot of lessons, one thing that has been poignant to me is that I can really appreciate some of the advice that you get and that you hear from business leaders in a different light, having kind of been there and done that now with Beehive. It's one of those things, you hear the same words, before and after. And I think to some degree there's no way around just putting the time in and putting the hustle and the hard work in, because you can read as many books, you can listen to as many podcasts of business leaders telling you what you need to do. There's no substitute for just getting in the trenches and executing and doing it. And then you can look back and be like, oh yeah, that person was right. They're describing something that I would agree with. But I think to some degree, there's a phenomenon where people just want to listen to the podcast and kind of shortcut their way to success. And I haven't seen that that's the way to succeeding.
It seems that in Beehive's case, it's the perfect balance, or the two energies feeding one into the other, of great product features and growth that is doing its job. Is that how you build a flywheel?
Absolutely. I think that, when I talk about growth, I absolutely can't talk about the success that I've had professionally without giving a great deal of credit to the fantastic team that I have behind me, and that is being led by our CEO, Tyler Dank. The engineering team is par none. They are incomparable, incredibly talented, incredibly driven and independent, and the quality of the features that we put out are a testament to how hard they work, the processes that they've put into place to make sure that what we ship is serving users the way that we want them to. And coming from industry, coming from the engineering team, the initial kind of core of our team founders, coming from Morning Brew, I think was really important to that in terms of understanding the features that customers do need. But now that we've kind of progressed past that point where we're growing a bigger and bigger team, what has become more important now is continuing to listen to our customers and build that trust. And so, early on, it was very easy to lean back and say, hey, our co-founders are from Morning Brew, they know what they're doing. And as we've developed, we've now gotten to a point, I think, for a lot of customers where, you know, Beehive itself kind of stands on its own merit. And the team that built Beehive means a lot more now. And so in that way, what the brand that we are building is very, very valuable and very important, because it means quality, it means fast moving, it means no fluff, it means a team that is truly looking out for our users, and is going to show up in your inbox with a product announcement that's going to help you and change your life. And that all of those things have led to this flywheel of people sharing the word about Beehive, you know, on Twitter, on social media organically. And that's been completely invaluable to our success. You can't really separate the two.
So once you have the features, how do you put Beehive on the map? What are your top three growth tactics nowadays?
Yeah, so we have kind of our distribution kind of processes. You know, Tyler, our CEO, goes into the lab, he locks himself in his room and spends, you know, a couple hours pumping out, you know, a product update. We do kind of full multimedia press around it. We have one of my colleagues, Stephen Van, you know, creates a tutorial about it. I used to do those tutorials in the past, and so we just basically create content that will help users, you know, be able to use and you know, leverage the features that we're launching. We put together the product launch. Those product announcements are sent through our own infrastructure. We use our own product in, you know, 4 or 5 different ways, in terms of, you know, we use it for our blog, we use it for our product announcements, we use our own product for our customer, you know, academy to get them onboarded to the product. You know, we use it for our owned media publication that talks about creators, and it's called Creator Spotlight, where we kind of share the tips and tricks of creators that have been successful. And so that is to say, we dog food our own product and make sure that we are the best customers of it. But yeah, we send those out generally on Thursdays. But Tyler will send out to our list of a couple 100,000 users. We share on social media. We do a full push there. Those product announcements are really kind of, you know, bread and butter around keeping us present, top of mind with users, you know, in the short term. Otherwise, you know, one of our big strategies has been to just engage in social. We're very fortunate that our users, you know, we know where our users live, and they're very accessible through X, Twitter, you know, whatever we're calling it these days. But we have a very, very vibrant community there, and I literally have like a TweetDeck you know, query advanced search filter that has like all of the misspellings of Beehive. You know, really is like dialed in. And so I'll go on my phone, you know, each evening before I sign off, and I'll basically just go through the entire feed of every single mention of Beehive, and you know, we'll reply to users if they have questions. We'll tag our team internally if it's something that somebody else, you know, should handle. But otherwise, you know, I'll give answers. I'll answer questions about, you know, how to use the product. Praise, you know, give them a thank you and a like or a retweet. Even criticism, you know, we'll address that head on. And you know, that's been a near daily practice for now, you know, the 2 years that I've been on the team. And I think it's one of those things that doesn't necessarily scale. It won't scale, you know, when we're doing, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars a year instead of 7 million a year. But you know, for now, it's been a really important aspect of staying close to customers. You know, we hear it all, we see it all, and that allows us to make the right moves and to, you know, manage our brand appropriately.
How did you get influencers, B2B influencers, quote unquote, like Sean Perry? Sean seems to be one of the best use case of Beehive, you know, started Milk Road, had an exit, incredible growth, like really fast growth. So do you have a playbook to get in touch with these folks so that they can promote the product?
We don't pay for any influencer press. All of it is completely earned. So Sean took a chance on us and used Beehive and found the platform so valuable and so impactful. And of course, the you know, growth and exit of Milk Road is a testament to that. But you know, they were a paying customer of Beehive from the very beginning. They didn't get any kind of special treatment. You know, we were just able to serve them so well that we made that impact. And that kind of goes back to the previous question of, like, you know, how we manage that flywheel. It truly is, you know, really amazing. Kind of surprise and delight is the term that I've heard before, but surprise and delighting customers that makes them kind of not able to not share you. And you know, after Milk Road got started and they started growing and you know, they liked what was going on, Sean did come in as an investor, so he's invested in Beehive, and so that's part of it. We did go through as some our subsequent like pre-Series A, post-seed rounds. We kind of brought in people who were users of Beehive that you know, had influence, had voices, and we invited them to invest and kind of tied their financial success to our success, which is a tactic that I would advise. We have, yeah, I'd say probably several hundred people in total on the cap table, you know, across the Twitter sphere. And most of those people, you know, are very small, you know, kind of very small checks comparatively, but you know, love Beehive and love sharing it. And, you know, we've made basically our best customers, you know, have a vested interest in sharing us and you know, talking about us. But in terms of the vast majority of users who talk about Beehive, it's completely organic. We have yet to do any kind of paid, you know, influencer placements or anything like that. That is in the works completely candidly. We have some, you know, we're going to be working with some influencers, you know, in a couple of different capacities, but you know, to date, it's been, you know, it's been all organic in that way. Our paid media goes towards, you know, direct response marketing for the most part, and some demand gen across social media, but you know, it's mostly the stuff that we have the direct ROI from.
So you guys raised 17 million Series A. It's quite, I mean, from seeds through Series A, you raised in total 17, or was this
Just
series?
about, yeah.
Okay. It's quite uncommon for the head of growth to participate in these efforts. I mean, it's genius to have your top users as investors. It's a top growth strategy. Can't advise it enough. Any other strategies that you've used to raise capital, cold email, for example, or unconventional strategies you have in your bag?
Maybe unconventional in that, so just to not, you know, take any credit that is not due to me. You know, I've been supportive in the process in terms of, you know, getting our team the numbers that they need, you know, CAC, acquisition conversion rate numbers. You know, I'm kind of the analytics guru, you know, on the team, in terms of connecting, you know, numbers to outcomes. But you know, Tyler's, you know, fully to credit for the raise. But I will say it is kind of funny that I can't really give a satisfying answer knowing kind of the ins and outs of this, and that you know, we actually never really intended to raise more than just the series or the seed round. We were sitting May of last year, profitable, and not necessarily, you know, happy to be, you know, just grow profitably, because you trade off like speed, you know, in terms of speed of execution and growth, and in terms of profitability, you know, because you want to be able to reinvest in the business. But yeah, that was one thing that for the first year and a half, we were like, oh man, you know, I think we're going to be profitable in May. I think we're making enough, and we're on a path where the growth is going to basically match that. And we hit that. We were profitable for at least a month, maybe 2 months. And you know, economy's been a little bit shaky. You know, there's some things that we wanted to put into play, but I think most importantly, we've had these giant, you know, incumbent players that, you know, are very threatened by us, the Substacks, the ConvertKits, the campaign monitors, active campaigns of the world, that are already at scale, that have very, very good reasons to be incredibly worried about what we're doing. And so actually, we were just on the call with them today. Lightspeed Ventures, you know, led our Series A, and basically, you know, they reached out to Tyler, and you know, we went through the whole story today, but basically they showed that they were a true partner that would not just, you know, be, you know, a source of funding for us, but would actually be there to support us in the way that we wanted to be supported. And so, you know, on top of the funds, we also were able to retain, you know, the control that we wanted, so that we really could still control our destiny and our outcome. But the big outcome was that infusion of cash gave us the ability to really have a war chest to compete against very well capitalized players, and not necessarily be pushed around. It allows us to make the hires that we want to make, so that we can continue to invest in talent on the team. And since we raised, we doubled the team from 17, we're at 45 today. And so we've been able to make a lot of really strategic hires that you know, have really compounded the impact of our team. So things like staff, deliverability and compliance, folks to make sure that, the spam or any kind of issues around deliverability are, we own those and we can address those and preemptively, prevent those. So it's a kind of a defensive play in that way. We've beefed up our support team. Support is one of the most important parts of the business, making sure the users, once they are in the platform, have a good experience. So, really, we have a world-class support team. Engineering, strength is really the big bottleneck to achieving our dreams. Obviously, engineers, can be hard to come by in the way that you need them to be. And so, we've definitely invested in the engineering team. I've hired on my growth team, the growth and marketing team. We've gone from 2 people on my team prior to July to 5 now. And that also is, if you take a look at our social media channels, that's been a game changer to have one of my colleagues, Bella Rose Mortel. She's running our social channels and is absolutely killing it. I mentioned Stephen Van earlier. He's an incredible, YouTube creator. He had a 200,000 person following, subscriber following on YouTube, joined us to basically bring that expertise to our YouTube channel. My colleague Eldon, he was working with a creator economy company in LA, and we are really making a push this year to kind of what we call Beehive Talent, but we launched Beehive Talent a couple weeks ago, but really investing more in reaching creators and influencers where they live. So you have these people on Instagram or TikTok who may have large followings, 200,000, 2 million, 600,000, whatever, significant followings. They're really good at content creation. They're really good at what they are good at. They're good at, if they make makeup videos, they're good at makeup. If they make, travel videos, they're good at, editing video and, picking out where to travel and picking out the great shots. What they may not be good at is creating newsletters and writing newsletters. And what keeps them up at night is the chance that they may lose some of their monetization, whether it's through a change in the algorithm, whether it's some sort of change in market kind of macro conditions where, users migrate to a different platform. There's a whole bunch of reasons why they might kind of worry about their reach and their influence, not to mention the brand deals around that. And newsletters really represent for them an opportunity to hedge, but also to invest in the longevity and the impact of their business, where, you can make a ton more money with a newsletter monetizing, either through a premium subscription or ads or a combination of the tools that Beehive provides. You can make, significantly more doing that than through brand deals and through the profit sharing from the actual platforms themselves. So for creators, it's a no-brainer. It's just, for the most part, many of them haven't really considered a newsletter. So we basically, have processized, getting started with a newsletter, and we pair them with the resources that they need to succeed. So we just launched with Arnold Schwarzenegger. We launched with Robin Arzone from the lead instructor at Peloton. We launched with a couple others on the website, beehive.com/talent. There's a few others on there. Those are the 2 that I was familiar with, or not familiar with, but the ones that I've personally seen and worked with. So that's really the big thing that's going to take us into 2024 and really kind of expand the market for us. And then from there, our goal is to move more down market into kind of the traditional businesses, focusing more on serving SMBs and, showing them how they can deploy newsletter strategies to reach customers, reach, employees, reach investors, and build their story, build their brands.
It's so impressive, and who would have thought that newsletter as a niche, you could carve yourself a very interesting spot in there. Sometimes it's not because the waters are rosé, that you cannot jump in the pool and start making a killing yourself. I think that the thesis was pretty solid. You might tell me about your thesis, but me, cold emailed it's still one of my biggest agencies that I run. And that's because email is not about to go anywhere. Email does not belong to anyone. It's not Facebook's, it's not LinkedIn's that they can ban your ads, they can stop you, they can control you. Email is just free, it's still the far west. It's very much resilient, and also everyone checks their emails, right? It's in the B2B realm, it's the most used way of communication. So I guess you had some similar hypothesis, or Tyler did, when he started Beehive, then carving a spot. That's the interesting part that I want to learn a bit more from you.
Mhm.
MailChimp, they suck. Okay. I mean, that's no secret. They're pretty horrible. That's easy competition, easy crush, you know. ConvertKit, I'm not sure what's special about them, but Substack seems to be a capable adversary here. I use them, they're free, they're beautiful. The UX is really pretty. Um, how do you compete with these guys? They're also well funded, right? And they're from the Silicon Valley. So how do you clash with such a fit competitor?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would reframe it a little bit in that Substack's actually the one competitor that we don't really think about at all, that we see very little competition from, in that um, you know, they're they kind of raised a bunch of money and then kind of really haven't done anything. They stopped innovating. They have kind of changed the mission a bit from being kind of this platform for publishing and free speech and trying to be more of a social media network. They have their app that completely defeats the purpose of email as a medium. So, you know, they have their reader app. And of course, if you have your users reading your content through their app, they are now the middleman. They are now the algorithm. They are now kind of everything that the entire point of being a newsletter stands for. They completely remove that benefit. You know, so just even building an app kind of belies kind of the shift in kind of mindset. So then, you know, when Elon Musk bought Twitter, they launched their notes feature, which is meant to be a direct competitor, you know, to Twitter, and now Substacks are all kind of shadow banned on Twitter, which you know, love it or hate it, is still kind of an effective distribution channel for newsletters and is very important for reaching users. You know, and then when you look at like their model around, you know, how users get a lot of their exposure, it's not by learning or leveraging traditional growth functions and learning how to actually build an audience. They basically spoon feed users, which is again based on an algorithm. You have a user who likes newsletter A, B, and C, so we're going to show you newsletter D, which is no different than you know, how the traditional social media networks you know, show you the content that's going to keep you engaged. And so in that way, they're much less a newsletter platform or newsletter company, newsletter tool that we typically compete with, and they're more of a social media network. You know, I use kind of two things when I'm talking to people about Substacks. One is, if you're a brand and you want to really own your own brand, you know, the antithesis of that is starting a Substack. Because what do people say? Oh, I'm starting a Substack. They don't say, oh, I launched my, you know, such and such newsletter. You know, Substack inherently kind of really puts its brand front and center in a way that we have no interest in doing. We want to be in this kind of way. If you compare Substack and us to Shopify and Amazon, where like kind of they're the Amazon, they've aggregated the inventory, users come to them kind of shopping around for their newsletter. We are the Shopify, where Shopify doesn't send you any traffic. They don't tell you how to build your website. They give you full flexibility. You know, that's really what we want to be. We want to be the best kind of platform for the pipes and the infrastructure, and we want to then let you empower you as the creator to build your business in that way. And so our pricing, while we're not free, if you do have a premium subscription, we don't take any fee on the premium subscriptions. So in that way, even though Substack is free, if you're monetizing through a subscription, it becomes way more expensive than we are. And so and then at the end of the day, like it has a nice UX, but at the end of the day, like most Substacks, there it's kind of it's formulaic. They're all kind of the same, a little bit of a skin over top of it, but the design features, you know, leave much to be lacking. The growth features, the analytics, there's a ton of areas in which they can't really compete with us in any way. And so internally, we look more towards the independent senders, because, you know, for us, our users, the ones that we're going for, are the ones that want to really launch and own their businesses through, you know, the newsletter, or have the newsletter be a component of their business. And those users aren't necessarily interested in co-branding on something like Substack. They don't necessarily want to be spoon-fed their users, because that's not a moat that you can build. You can't build an asset that then is, you know, potentially sellable. We've had, I think, probably at this point, probably a dozen different newsletters start from zero, grow up, and be sold, you know, for significant sums in just the past 2 years. So Milk Road is probably the most famous one. There's probably 4 or 5 other ones that have happened right around the same time. Both of my former interns, I'm 2 for 2 on this, but both of my former interns launched newsletters after they left Beehive. Both sold them within 6 months. And so you just don't see that kind of thing happening on Substack, because you're not building on your own land. With Beehive, you're really truly building on your own, defensible land. And so in that context, we compete very strongly with ConvertKit. There's something to be said there, though. They've been around for 10 years and have only started kind of waking up and innovating the last year since we've been kind of on the scene. And so, we're not really playing catch up with anyone anymore. We're really blazing our own trail. We spent the first year playing catch up, getting to feature parity. And now, our entire, focus as a company is doubling down on that success, building even more features. We could probably, build more features weekly for 5 years and not run out. We have a very, very deep, roadmap of the type of things that we want to build, which we look around and we just like kind of question, we scratch our heads. It's like, what is everyone else doing? Like nobody else has launched a new feature in 3 years. And we have, a weekly release list that goes so deep. It's a little bit, it feels a little bit unfair at times, because we just know that we're going to dominate this market and just continue to win. So, I appreciate it.
Let's do rapid fire, because we have 6 minutes and I have so many other questions. Let's start with getting paid with Beehive. How much can I get paid if I have 10,000 subscribers? How does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a bunch of different ways you can monetize. So we have a product called Boosts, which lets you refer other newsletters on a sponsored basis. So say there's another newsletter, maybe it's about, training for an Ironman that you want to share with your users. Say the newsletter they want to grow, they may say, hey, Charles, I'll pay you $2 for every subscriber that you pass my way. So you can monetize based off of new subscribers. Somebody subscribes to your newsletter, and then you show them this modal that says, hey, would you all, Charles recommends that you also subscribe to this, Ironman newsletter. That's one way to do it. You can make $2 subscribers that way, but we also have a built-in sendable version of that. So you could send to your existing audience of 10,000, say you get a 50% open rate, 1% click-through rate, open to click rate, but you have 50% open rate, 5,000 users, you get, 100 clicks, say 100 people sign up, that's $200 per send. So that's, $200 per send times 4, we'll say $800 per month just from boosts. So that's one. Our ad network, you can paid, $1, $2 per click on those. So you 10,000 users times 4, 40,000, 20,000 opens. 0.5% click-through rate on the ads would be 0.5% of 20,000 is 2,000, 1,000. It's another $2,000 a month. Maybe you have premium content that you want to sell for $5 a month for access. If you're running ads, you can just sell that as an ad-free experience. We have plenty of tools for visibility, so you could set the ads to be shown only to free users and hidden from premium users. So you could, if you're running ads, just set up a premium subscription and offer that as ad free. You get 3% of your users to join that. That would be another 300 times 5, 1,500 a month. So at that point, that's 15, 2,000, 20, that's 35, 40, $4,300 a month. Without getting creative. And that's where they're using kind of Beehive's tools. We do a lot of that work for you. So I'm not going to say that you're going to get the best pricing in the world, that's out there available using us. But that is to say, we make it dead simple. We literally find the ads, we drop them in your account. If you say you want them, you click one button and then you send. There's no invoicing, there's no reporting, there's no finding your own deals. On that side of things. And then for the premium subscriptions, we don't take $1 of your premium subscription. So you get all the money there. And then for boosts, that's a net new thing, that most folks don't have. So 10,000 subscribers, also not necessarily the biggest newsletter. I mean, that's a fairly modest newsletter. It's obviously very successful, but that's probably somebody who's still working a full-time job. So to be able to supplement your income with $4,300 a month, on a part-time basis, I'd say that's pretty good.
And then how do you grow so fast and exit your interns? I'm guessing they exited from six figures a couple of months. How did they group so fast?
Yeah, so first of all, there's a little bit of survivorship bias in that, we were really fortunate to be able to hire from the best of the best. So my most recent intern, Jay Yang, is a senior in high school. When he was interviewing, he said senior, and I thought he was a senior in college. This kid's created multiple courses, monetized for tens of thousands of dollars, built a huge Twitter following. This guy is literally, he's so impressive. It blew our minds. And so he was my second intern. The first one, a very also incredibly talented, now a senior at Northwestern, named Avi Shah. Built a massive Twitter following. These guys are both, people who know how to create followings and know how to create content that people want to read, which is kind of really the main criteria for launching a successful newsletter. So they'd already shown very, very strong heuristics of success and grit and initiative. If anything, we just showed them, gave them the tools to succeed, and they saw, how kind of comparatively easy it would be for them to take the skills that they learned around audience curation and just apply, the tactics of newsletters and using Beehive's tools to do that. My current intern, Steven, or not intern, he was former intern. He works with us now full time. He also has multiple newsletters, and I wouldn't be surprised if they exit. I'm really excited for when that happens, because I really wanted to go 3 for 3. I want to see how far we can take this.
So I guess focus, creativity, and being little hackers with little growth hacks and great content. I guess that's always
Great content's key. It comes down to two things. This is what I tell people. It comes down to two things: great content and knowing your audience. And so if you have both of those things, like those are the two strategy pillars. From there, there's tactical execution that goes into both of those, but like those are the prerequisites. You have to be able to create great content, and great content relies and is contingent on who your audience is. So you have to know who your audience is. You have to know what makes them tick, what they're interested in, how to engage them. And from that information, that understanding, discovery, you can then create great content. Great content involves good design, good formatting, being well written, having the right tone, having unique value additive content. And again, all of that has to happen in relation to your audience, and your audience is in relation to the great content. So,
all right. And in less than 10 seconds, where can people find out more about you?
yeah. So active on Twitter, EJ_Beehive, or beehive.com. On LinkedIn, I'm Edward White, Edward EJ White. Maybe you'll include my socials at the end of this in the show notes, but